2013 EFL season started on Saturday. Can the five-time defending champions Terror Squad make it a six-pack?
And can free agent wide receiver Marquise Powell find a home?
Find out this and more next on the Eff-Zone. Welcome to the Eff-Zone. I'm your host, Vladimir Lewis.
And I'm Kenny Clark.
Kenny, what a great Saturday opener we had for the EFF opener. A lot of teams made some moves, especially in game one when we had the Outlaws versus White Shadow. White Shadow disappointed last season, really struggled a lot, but they were hurt, especially with their captain, RJ, who I gotta give him the warrior of the week. This guy he's 3 weeks. 3 weeks he should be out. He can't come back and play. He wanted to show his team the leadership, and he played. And he actually played well, but they were no match for the Outlaws, especially with their key acquisition in the free agency offseason, Marquise Powell. Gotta give their captain Check credit in acquiring such a talent like that to go with their great scat back, Ronald Jean.
Yes, Marquise Powell, young guy, worked out for a couple of NFL teams. Looked for him, going to have a big year. Only had 2 catches, but expecting big things from him this year.
Now, with the acquisition of Marquise, and you put him with a good runner like Ronald Jean, do you feel like Outlaws, who've been eliminated 3 years, 3 times by the eventual champion Terror Squad, you think that the acquisition of Marquise may be able to help them gain that title?
Yes, I do. I think Marquise has what it takes to put them over the hump of being knocked out in the playoffs in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years in a row. Powell is, once again, a big-time acquisition, looking for big things. He is going to have a monster year.
There were a lot of great highlights in the White Shadow Outlaws game, but nobody stood out more than Ronald Jean. He had 5 carries for 127 yards, including, Kenny, a 59-yard impressive one where he made 6 White Shadow defenders look foolish trying to grab his flag. How do you stop a little guy like that?
Oh, man, Ronald Jean, what do you say about it? He was out there, looked like he was playing with little boys. 5 carries, 127 yards, showed some major wheels on that 58-yard run.
Yeah,
what do you say?
I've never seen a guy just do anything like that, where it almost looked like he was doing a shuttle run that you do in the combines in the NFL,
yeah.
where he was obviously he's like 5'4", but he's so low to the ground, nobody was able to grab his flag. It was a great run, and one of the many highlights that was displayed on Saturday at the EFFL League. Game 2 of Week 1's matchup was the marquee game between the 5-time defending champions Terror Squad versus the team with the best record last season, Skywalkers. Skywalkers were undefeated up to Week 13 last season until they were taken out by the X-Men. And it seemed it led a little problem because they did not really function the same way they did early in the season, and some people might say they might have choked in the playoff against Street Finest. Kenny, I got 2 questions to ask you, one regarding both teams. When you're the 5-time defending champions, right, is the motivation gone? You know, they're getting older, they're a little long in the tooth. The field now we're playing on a legitimate field, all right? It's a young man's game. And second, for Skywalkers, after having so much success last season and then being eliminated and not achieving your goal, what is the motivation? Can you muster the same intensity? Can you muster the same passion to try to finish the job?
Yes, let's start with the Skywalkers. Went out last year on a whimper. Kind of didn't go the way they wanted. So obviously they came out, great showing. Looks like they put in the work in the off season and try to, attain for that costly loss in the playoffs last year.
They did. It was a last-second loss to Street Finest. And Terror Squad, on the other hand, they start off seasons like this. They were without their starting quarterback. They were without their starting wide receiver. They missed a couple of players, but Terror Squad always roll deep. They come deep. That's one thing we can always say about Terror Squad. They will always put a team on the field, and they're pretty good. But to be shut out, that's horrible. To defending champions to be shut out.
Yeah, I don't know about the Terror Squad this year. A little long in the teeth, like you say. Other teams are catching up to them. Go out 18-0.
Oof.
First game. I don't know. Terror Squad. I like them, don't love them. We'll see where it goes.
Can they do it? Can they do the 6-pack? Skywalkers were led by their star quarterback, Hollywood Hannibal, who accounted for 3 touchdowns, all three scores for Skywalkers, 2 passing, 1 rushing. One of those passes was to Exodus. But they seem to always have a problem. The one thing about Skywalker is very talented, but very, very combustible. Now, Kenny, when you're a first team joining a league, you're going to suffer a lot of bumps and bruises. And clearly, Demolition Crew suffered a lot of bumps and bruises against the X-Men. Because Chico Benjamin had his team ready. 18-0, another shutout. Back-to-back shutouts with both games. Talk about Chico. Can he finally lead his team to the championship? He's led his team to the playoffs many years. But he's gotten to the finals. But he's never tasted the champagne and the taste of victory. He's never had that. Could this finally be the season?
I think this is a season for Chico Benjamin and his team X-Men. Came back very determined. Chico, battling through some injuries, showed true grit of an old veteran. Had a great game. Let's see what this leads to.
7 for 13 Chico was. He threw 2 touchdowns, one on a great play to a guy who I think is going to have a tremendous season. Little White Johnny. Johnny's unbelievable. Number 52 on the X-Men. Guy could make plays. He adjusts to whatever the throw is. And listen, we all know Chico, he can throw the ball a little bit, but you got to make some adjustments sometimes. But he's been able to make those adjustments, and they have a great chemistry. And they've added some great talent. And also, Kenny, the defense was really impressive. Even taking a pick 6 to the house, that's very key when you're a defensive player. And the defensive team you want to establish in this league where there's no more counting. You can blitz at will, and they were doing that all game against the Denver.
Yeah, and in a game like this, you need the defense to turn the offense for you. Defense leads the points. It makes the game easier for your offense.
X-Men are now 1-0. Demolition Crew has a lot to work on. Hopefully we'll see a better result next week. Game 4 in week 1 was between runner-up Street Finest and everybody's favorite underdog, Reservoir Dogs. Now, Kenny, Street Finest had a great run in last year's postseason, taking out the 2-seed Empire State, taking out the 1-seed Skywalkers. But a lot of people believed it was a fluke. It was a Cinderella run. When you were a team like Street Finest, you had great success. You almost had that taste. What's the motivation? What is it that you can prove to these other teams and all these other players that have been talking, during the offseason saying, oh, you guys will not be there again? Because they look pretty impressive against Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, Street Fighters look very impressive. Got a lot of things they got to overcome as far as where they mentally after being so close to the championship and losing the way they did. But you know what? They looked impressive, and I think they're in for a big year this year. It's going to be a great season. A lot of competition.
I believe Street Finest will have a great season. They got to the championship game, and they get one of their key players back. JoJo comes back this season. He was looking pretty impressive on the field. And he could have made a big factor if they had him last year in the postseason. They're also getting Rashi from Red Rum. Well, Red Rum, who's for some reason everybody's just picking from that talent pool. And they also got John Austin 316. Austin is a great receiver. He was making great plays and already a contributing factor for Street Finest. And the other thing I give Street Finest credit for is they finally solidified the quarterback position. Chuck Chase, as they like to refer to him, he looked great, throwing the ball, spreading the ball around. And Kenny, when you have a quarterback who just spread the ball around, that has to make the team feel good. There's no egos. There's no it's all about me. There's no I in this team.
Yes, Street Finest, clear case of the rich got richer. 3 key players. They're loading up for a big run.
I like to say that Street Finest might be loading up for a better run this year than they had last season. And the final game of week 1 was between Empire State versus Mayhem. Empire State, who had the second best record last season, also suffered the same fate as the team with the best record, Skywalkers, as they went down to eventual runner-up Street Finest. Now, Kenny, you saw how determined Empire State was all across the board. Brent Rice was everywhere. Their quarterback, Smitty, ran for one, a 60-yarder. He threw one to Brent. They looked very impressive, and led by their captain, Tracy, on the defense. This team looks like they have unfinished business. They want to settle it. They finally want to take a ship. What do you think Empire State needs to do, and how do you think they're going to look this season?
Well, first off, Empire State ran off 12 victories in a row last year. Classic case of some teams are built for the regular season, some teams are built for the playoffs. Obviously, Empire State wasn't built for the playoffs. Let's see if they can put it all together this year and at least get a first round win.
They did. You're absolutely right. Not getting out of the first round was devastating to them. They really thought they were the team that was going to be able to take out Terror Squad. I mean, everybody knows Terror Squad got that X on their back, but Empire State believed with key victories in the regular season over Terror Squad last season. But can they now finally get over that mental hurdle? Because that's a lot of things that a lot of teams suffer through. They can't get over that mental hurdle. And it seems like Terror Squad can, but is Empire State with quarterback Smitty, do you think he can finally lead them to a championship?
I want to see him lead them to a first round victory first before they start talking about championship. Can't get a championship without a first round victory. And they shown 12 in a row, knocked out in the first round. Not real confident in them right now.
Wow. But there was a lot of highlights in the game, especially Brent Rice. Like I said, he caught a touchdown, and he also intercepted the ball in the end zone and took it 105 yards back. It was an impressive highlight, probably the best play of the whole day if you really think about it. But it was an impressive victory. They won 20-6, and they go on 1-0. Mayhem, good team. They have a lot of talent, but you know they're going to suffer some bumps and bruises along the way, just like many teams there, because we have a talented league, and it's going to be impressive from last week to the week 14 and on to the playoffs. And that wraps the show this week. Please join us on any of the social media networks on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Week 2 has some great matchups, and the only way you can see it if you come to Valley College Stadium and check out the great players and talented teams in the EFF League. Week 2's marquee matchup is a bad blood. There's a lot of talk and hate going on between Street Finest and Skywalkers. Skywalkers, like I said, was the #1 team last season, and they were taken out by Street Finest in the semifinals. It's going to be a great game. Please join us in week 2. I'm Vladimir Lewis Saint.
And I'm Kenny Clark.
And you just watched the EFF Zone.